Hello everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert coming to you on a Thursday afternoon, and we have some news to talk about regarding the 2023 schedule and NASCAR moving into the Chicago market. And we have two things to talk about. Obviously the Chicago street course that's been creating a lot of buzz over this NASCAR off week, and then of course we have the Chicagoland Speedway, which I actually made a video about back in January, I believe it was, talking about why we should return to that racetrack. So go check that out if you have time. But certainly, right now, let's talk about NASCAR moving to the Chicagoland market into 2023. It's definitely most likely going to happen. We don't know what form or what it'll look like yet, but let's certainly get into it. First off, I do have to show you a tweet reported by Adam Stern. This was actually tweeted last week. I believe it was last Friday he tweeted this, that NASCAR is getting closer to announcing a new street race in Chicago that would start next year per sources. Obviously the iRacing has created a virtual street course in Chicago with NASCAR stock cars on it for sure. We've seen that. We've heard rumors about trying to get a street course in the Chicago market, talking with the Chicago government, trying to get that street course there in downtown Chicago, which obviously, that takes a lot of work to do, to have to shut down downtown Chicago, block off all the roads for a cup race, a major NASCAR event. Another point of concern that he mentioned is it's not yet clear who would lose a race, but NASCAR appears to be open to dropping a road course, and Road America is one of those racetracks that does not have a deal yet for the next season. So obviously I'll talk about that as well. But let's start off by talking about the street course. What does this mean? What will the street course look like? Obviously, we don't know the layout of the street course. I think it might be similar to the one we saw in iRacing, maybe. I believe that one that we saw in the iRacing League was in the middle of downtown Chicago. That might have to be arranged a little bit. I'm not sure if that would be possible. You're talking about shutting down NASCAR, one of the United States' major cities, major roadways, for a NASCAR race. I believe Chicago is the third largest city in the United States. So obviously bringing this event to Chicago, bringing NASCAR to Chicago, I think would draw a lot of eyes on Chicago. I would rather see this, and if you watch Eric Estep, he does video out of the groove. He made a good point that I really like what he said. Chicago's a major market. A lot of people are there. The racetrack Chicagoland Speedway is probably a good 45 minutes or even farther away from a lot of people that live in Chicago. If you're not a NASCAR fan, you're typically not going to make that drive to go to Chicagoland Speedway. So we're going to bring the show to Chicago, put it in the middle of the city, right in front of all these people. If it puts on a good show, or if they like what they see, they might tune in and watch a race at Chicagoland Speedway later on if they return there, or the next week, or who knows, maybe you've created a new fan. I do like the idea of bringing a race to the city of Chicago. I think NASCAR needs to get into the markets. As much as, NASCAR is a southern sport and needs to stay in the South, I also think it doesn't hurt to reach out and try to get in those markets like Chicago. Obviously, Los Angeles with the LA Coliseum was a great marketplace. I mean, these huge major cities. New York City would be another one I think NASCAR is probably already looking into trying to get a deal. I know NASCAR's been running around San Francisco doing all sorts of business deals. So trying to get NASCAR's brand and market it out in these major cities is definitely a good thing. While still having plenty of races in the South, I think it's a plus for NASCAR. But the street race, I think, would be better as a one-off event. I don't know if at a flat street race, I don't know if that would put on the best NASCAR show. I don't know if it would be the most exciting NASCAR race. I don't know if it would be crazy. I don't think it'd be anything like Bristol or Daytona for sure. But if it's decent and it's okay and it's interesting and has some good storylines, I think that's all you need to create a good show in the middle of the city. And then, like I said, those fans that see it might say, oh, well, this looks cool. This is obviously being taken really serious. This is a big deal for some people. Maybe I watch next week, and then the next race is, a mile and a half with the next gen car, which is absolutely incredible. So even if the street race itself isn't, a Bristol or Daytona, isn't the most exciting event, isn't crazy, isn't action-packed, I think that's okay, because as long as there's some decent storylines, as long as the racing is okay, as long as you don't have any, problems with the racetrack, I think that could be a plus for NASCAR, and it could be a really good look for NASCAR as well. So I'm not against it. I would like to see it. I think obviously a lot of work would need to be put in if this is done, which it looks like it's most likely going to happen. Usually when Adam Stern reports something, it does happen. So it looks like it's most likely going to happen. I know the next year's schedule is expected to be released. In the next, I believe NBC Sports reported it will probably be released at the end of July or early August. So it's coming up soon here. It won't be too long, and we'll get that schedule released. But another thing I do want to talk about is the other topic Adam Stern reported, potentially taking a street race away, or another road course race, and that would be Road America, because they do not have a scheduled date for 2023 or a deal yet for 2023. And this is what I think a lot of fans will be upset with, because Road America, after just one race last year on July 4th, and then of course we're going there in a couple of weeks again on July 4th. I think it's the race after Nashville, so it's right around the corner. We'll be back in Wisconsin on July 4th weekend. Really was a great race. There were over 100,000 fans. I heard there were well over 100,000 fans at the race there last year. I've heard reports it was closer to 200,000 people at Road America, obviously all the campsites and stuff, and it was just overall a great event. Fan favorite driver won. It was really a positive event, a feel-good race to watch on TV on July 4th weekend. It just had that feeling that you want on the July 4th weekend, which I think Daytona had definitely been lacking the last few years. But it was great. It was super exciting. It was awesome. If that energy continues this season, I would hate to see it end. I think, I know there's some things like the championship race, the All-Star race, a lot of fans like to see moving around. But I also think there's a lot of events like July 4th weekend, Memorial Day weekend, obviously, at the Coke 600 at Charlotte, I think that NASCAR fans like. And I think with the July 4th weekend, that is an event that NASCAR needs to try to find a race and stick to it and try to keep it there. You know, we went to Indianapolis for 1 year on July 4th on 2020 with no fans. And then, of course, now Road America, which has set a really good tone, a good momentum booster. So to change that 4th of July weekend again, I don't think is a positive. And then, of course, to get rid of what is becoming a fan favorite racetrack, Road America, I think would also be a negative. I would hate to see Road America taken off the schedule for an entire season. Maybe if you take it off 1 year, you put it back in after the Chicago street race, but would it lose some of its momentum? Would it, be an even bigger event because it lost a year? I'm not sure, but I would definitely hate to see Road America lose a race after its extremely, fan favoritism that it gained after just one race last year. Obviously, they still NASCAR still has more time to look into this, like they've said. And then, of course, they still have the race this year at Road America, which we'll have to see how that goes. Now, another one that I talk about is, I mentioned, like I said, I did do a video on this a few months back, so I'm not going to get into it too much about the racetrack itself. But Chicagoland Speedway is also in the talks of making a return. Actually, some of the local news stations in Chicago, some of the local radio stations, I believe, have made some reports saying that there is a good chance that NASCAR comes back into I believe it's the Joliet area. I hope I'm saying that correctly. For racing at Chicagoland Speedway. It's a bit of ways, it's kind of farther out in the country, it's a bit ways south of Chicago, but still close enough. I mean, I understand what NASCAR is trying to do. There's a chance that NASCAR would kind of hype up the Chicagoland race with the street course, have the race fans go to the street course and say, hey, there's going to be another race event, an hour south of here, in the playoffs potentially in September. That's what some talks have been. Let's go to that. I believe there are rumors, and these are all rumors about the Chicagoland Speedway. I must make that clear, that they will replace a Kansas race, which Kansas is actually Chicagoland's sister track. They have a lot of similarities. They're both in the Midwest. Very interesting. I think that would be a good decision. And I've said this in the past as well. If Chicagoland does come back, and I really would love for Chicagoland to come back, I would rather replace a race with 2 dates. And if I look at racetracks with 2 dates that I really don't think need 2 dates, obviously, Las Vegas isn't a major spectacle racetrack. I go back to Kansas. You saw the grandstands this year at Kansas. It wasn't that great, not a very good look. I think those types of racetracks could definitely be the ones to lose one race. The racetracks with 2 dates, replace one with Chicago. I think Kansas and Chicagoland are owned by the same company, so that would obviously, you could work that out. And I hope that does work out. I've heard some reports from people that have gone to Chicagoland that the track is still in good shape. It's not being torn up. I believe the Iceberg, another NASCAR YouTuber, he came out and said that he knows that they've hired more people. They've hired some people to help work at the track, get it race ready. So I think Chicagoland Speedway now has a brighter future. I think you're starting to look at Chicagoland and say, oh, well, this is definitely a real possibility that we could go back to this racetrack. And like I said in my video back in January, I think Chicagoland is hands down the best mile and a half, at least with the last car. With what we're seeing with the next gen, it could be extremely exciting racing at Chicagoland. So I would hate to see a racetrack like that go to waste. I've heard talks of Kentucky coming back. I've heard the Kansas race, if they do only have one race, it will be on Saturday night instead of Sunday like it was this year. So a lot of rumors going around, but the schedule is right around the corner. Like I said, NBC did report, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago I read that it's coming out in 6 to 8 weeks. So we got probably in July or late July or early August, we will get the 2023 schedule, and I think it should be really exciting. And I think there'll be some changes to it, and I'm starting to, this is the time of the year you're kind of looking towards 2023 and thinking, oh, this could be really good, so I hope it's great. So yeah, that's all there is to talk about after NASCAR moving to the Chicago market. I think that's a must. NASCAR's gone to the LA market for the LA Coliseum, and then of course you have the race in Fontana. So going to Chicago in one of the United States' major cities, a major city with a lot of sponsorship opportunities you could gain from going to Chicago, and fans you could gain alone, I think definitely is a good idea, and NASCAR's looking into it and needs to continue to look into it. But that's all there's to talk about after this breaking news that we've kind of been hearing about, or all these rumors going around. Tune in this week. Join Watch Dirty Air after the Nashville race. I'll obviously do a race review. Should be interesting. I hope the race is good. I know there is a chance for some thunderstorms rolling through. I know it's also supposed to be really hot, so I don't know, maybe the rain could help a little bit. I'm not sure. Cool things down a little bit. I believe it's supposed to be close or maybe a little under or near 100 degrees this week. So if you are going to the Nashville race, try to stay safe. And then, of course, if there are, thunderstorms that roll through the area, try to be safe during those as well. But if you are going, I hope you do have a great time. Hopefully it's a good race. Hopefully it's a very entertaining race. And obviously I'm excited for the NBC portion of the season. That's always an exciting time for me. It's summertime when NBC and now USA takes over the NASCAR schedule. So it's really exciting to see. It's summertime, NASCAR summertime. We're going to be hyping up for the playoffs. So that's it. That's all there is to talk about. And of course, let's get rowdy.